Oh. That's a pretty good bargain, but I'm sorry, I gotta pass. I already have a Switch at home. Okay, now you know I gotta take that. Free Mario. The father of 2D platformers. Super Mario Bros. Is a classic, and I'm talking about all three of them. As Mario turns 35 this year, I thought it would be a good idea to look at where it all began. Well, I don't know about too much, but I know that 3 and 1 is praised upon fans. There's a reason these games haven't been forgotten yet, even though it's been about 3 decades.
So we all know Super Mario Bros., the game that had the song. This game came out in 1985, which makes it 35 this year. Amazing. People still play the game, speedrun it, use it in pop culture. My point is, it's still relevant. This game came out alongside other games for the NES at the time, in North America at least. But if we're going by the Famicom route, this game came out 2 years after the console, so it wasn't Nintendo's first game for the Famicom. Enough about the past. Super Mario Bros. Was a pretty simple game. You run, jump, finish the level. There are some in-betweens like shooting fireballs, going into pipes, swimming, fighting Bowser, dying. It wasn't anything complicated, so anyone could pick it up and play it. That's why it's well known. It did come out near the arcade era, so it had many similarities to an arcade game, its simplicity being its biggest resemblance. The gameplay is simple, the story is simple, the designs are simple, everything is simple. The story goes, the Mushroom Kingdom got invaded by Bowser and his minions, Toads got turned into objects, and bricks you smash. Uh-oh. The princess, known as Princess Toadstool at the time, was kidnapped by Bowser, and it's your job as Mario to rescue her. It's a pretty short story, but you weren't really going to get a fully detailed one just to save a princess, especially in a console like the NES. However, Super Mario Bros. 2 has the same story, so there's no need to talk about it. This came out a year after the release of Super Mario Bros. In North America, in June 3rd, 1986 in Japan. It wasn't until the release of Mario All-Stars that the West got this game. This game does have the same story, but it is set in a parallel world. So basically the events of the first game are relevant, and this game is somewhat irrelevant to the lore. But since this is a parallel world, the levels you play are completely different. They are much harder than the first game. This is obvious as you go through the game. There are more worlds available, which adds some uniqueness to the game. The game is already hard as it is, but Luigi exists. He adds extra physics to the gameplay, making it feel slippery and floatier. Don't be surprised if you keep dying. The game didn't even come out in the West because Nintendo thought it was harder for the rest of the world. Maybe this is the game that made Japan so good at video games. That was Super Mario Bros. 2. Super Mario Bros. 2 on the other hand, Super Mario Bros. 2 came out in October 9th, 1988 in the US. This game was known as Super Mario Bros. 2 everywhere that isn't Japan, as they know it as Super Mario USA. The game is so different from the last game. It was a reskin of a game called Doki Doki Panic. They both play identically, and Mario 2 came out a year after Doki Doki Panic. Super Mario Bros. 2 is the first game in the series that allowed you to go backwards. There's also the Y-axis, since the game would usually have you go up or down at times. Jumping on enemies didn't exist, so you had to grab them and throw them. There are also roots on the ground that allow you to pick up a turnip and throw them at enemies. All Mario principles here don't exist. No power-ups, you get 2 hearts of HP. Even the world it was set on was different. You get to play as 4 different characters: Mario, Luigi, Princess Peach, and Toad.
Huh? Odd group. Where have I seen that before?
The same group appeared for Mario 3D World, and if you thought the similarities were done, they all had the same physics 3D World gave them. Mario was a neutral character, nothing special about him. Luigi was a slippery character and could jump higher. Toad can run faster, but can't jump very high. and Peach can float. It changes up the gameplay, but the truth is they just needed 4 characters to fill up the slot for Doki Doki Panic. You would have realized not far into the game that enemies look different. There were no Koopas, Goombas, or even Bowser. Since the game didn't have Bowser, the final boss was different. So was the story. The story is, Mario and his friends went to Subcon, which was taken over by the main villain, King K. Rool War. The justice-seeking people Mario and his friends are go on an adventure to save this new place from Ward's control, ending up being heroes by doing so. This all ended up being a dream. Turns out, in his dream, he was climbing up a staircase which led to a door, and they ended up in Subcon. That's why when you start the game, you're seen falling from the sky with a door behind you. And at last, we are at the last Mario game before the SNES era. Super Mario Bros. 3 is regarded as one of the best NES games. And it has good reason too. This game was released on 1998 in Japan, but 1990 for the US. Its first appearance in the US was in a movie of all things. This went back to the original platformer format the Super Mario Bros. Series started with. With the somewhat detailed sprites and the screen scrolling Mario USA had, they had a better version of what they wanted to make. Super Mario Bros. 3 took all good things Mario games had at this point, and made it the best Mario game can be, at this point at least. The game goes back to Bowser being the main villain, meaning our enemies are back! Everything that was made in 1985 was waiting for this very moment. Everything feels fluid. There are more landscapes, environments exist, and this was the first Mario game with a world map. So the world skips through warp pipes are no more, instead being with a flute. The reason they put this in was as a way to continue from where you left off. And just know, this game is pretty long. You've got 8 worlds in the game, each world having its own theme. Long gone are those day and nighttime levels and some water ones. There are new assets like slopes and ice exists. You would see some levels with these long blocks with a shadow. If you duck down for a while, you can go behind the level and it isn't just an Easter egg. This is how you get the warp whistles to skip worlds. The whistles will allow you to choose from worlds 2 to 8. However, depending on the amount of whistles you have, you can only choose from about 3. Now as far as gameplay goes, clean. That's all. Movement feels most relatable to Mario USA. You can run and jump and swim, but new movement is the fact that you can slide! But seriously, you can slide, grab, and throw now. Of course, it's only been about 2 years since Nintendo made a normal Mario game with power-ups, so we will see some new power-ups. And what do you know? There were 3. The Tanuki Leaf debuted in this game, and the Frog power-up and the Hammer power-up was introduced here either. Sadly, those 2 power-ups never appeared again. Outside of Mario Maker, that is. The Tanuki Leaf has 2 variants, the Raccoon version and the Tanuki version. Raccoon gives Mario the ability to fly and slow down his fall, while Tanuki allows Mario to do what Raccoon Mario can do, but also turn into stone. Frog Mario allows Mario to swim better, but nerfs his movement on land. And finally, the Hammer suit. This makes Mario become a Hammer Bro, kind of, with him being able to throw hammers and protect himself from fireballs. The only downside is you can't slide. The story here is actually a play. I don't know how Bowser became an actor though. Basically, the Mushroom Kingdom is peaceful around this time, and Peach isn't in harm's way anymore. However, the Mushroom World is the one in danger. Bowser sent the Koopalings to invade the place and turn the kings into animals. When you defeat a Ling, you get a wand that gives you the ability to change the king back. All of a sudden, when you get to World 8, Bowser kidnaps Peach, which basically makes the game go full circle, as nothing was changed. Sure, the Koopalings were added, but what was the point if Peach just ended up getting kidnapped? Now, music for all 3 games are as NES-like as they will ever be. Everyone knows at least how one song from each game sounds. You have the Overworld from Super Mario Bros. And Super Mario Bros. 2. You have the Overworld from Super Mario Bros. USA. And the map theme from Mario 3. They all have a great charm to them and Koji Kondo composed all of them. Good job, Kondo-san.
And that was the NES Mario games. Not all of them, of course, but the platformer ones. This was a good look back, even for me. I mean, there were some things I didn't even know about. It's crazy to think that the Super Mario franchise is 35 years old, and it all started in Super Mario Bros. I just hope we get a remake of Super Mario Bros. 1 since we didn't get any of those.